too long. Okay. Good morning, friends. It is a absolutely beautiful morning outside today. So I want to get a few things done in the kitchen and then head out to the garden. My name is Michelle and this is my channel, Halfway Homestead. I am Edmond, Missouri, and I am a school teacher. So in the summertime is when I really get to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, spend a lot of time in the garden, and focus on some new videos. So I'm gonna try something new today. I just put bacon in the oven. It's not anything new. I'm gonna be making meatloaf for supper. And so I've got bacon in the oven. I have peppers, see if I can get the camera there, from last year's garden, thawing in the sink. And that'll be for later. But what I'm gonna do new this morning is I'm gonna make Pop-Tarts. I have never made Pop-Tarts. I've seen other people make Pop-Tarts and they look so good. A Facebook friend, her name is Rochelle, she made Pop-Tarts recently and I commented that they look so good, and she told me, she said, you should totally try them. They're delicious. So now that school's out and I have time, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna use this cookbook by Jill Reagan, A Taste of Sourdough. And I love this cookbook. I've used it several times. So to start out with, it says we need 240 grams of all-purpose flour. So I'm gonna bring you down here so you can see what I'm doing. And I am using my scale. I need to get it. It's just a little kitchen scale. Let's see. Turn it on. And I want grams. So let's make sure we're on grams. There we go. I'm on grams. Okay. I'm going to tear my bowl so that my measurement is just on the flour and not on, try that again, not on the bowl and the flour. Okay. It says I need 240 grams. One thing about this book I really like, it also gives you the measurement in cups. And so it says that it's approximately 2 cups. But I like using my scale. I don't know if it really makes a difference, but I like it. Okay, we're getting there. 241. I need 240. I'm going to call it good. Okay. I'm going to need this again, but not for a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and get it out of my way. All right, and then I need 12 grams of cane sugar. I'm going to use my raw sugar. So I'm going to tare again. Put it back to 0. Okay, that's 10. 12. All right, boy, that's not very much sugar. Okay. I thought this would have more in it. Okay, and then 5 grams of sea salt. I don't have sea salt, I just have regular table salt. I didn't tare it that time, but I can add 12 and 5 to get 17. Okay, there we are. Whew, okay, now, all right, it says I need 226 grams of cold butter. And that's 230, it's 2 sticks, 1 cup, we're gonna call it good. So I need to cube my butter. I don't know, can you see what I'm doing? Ouch, there we go. All right. Now I just took this out of the refrigerator, so I know that it's nice and cold and firm. And it says we're going to cut this in, which makes me think of like a pie crust. Okay, I'm just going to use my bench scraper to make my cubes. Turn it that way. Turn it over. Do it again. Okay, as I get my little cubes, I'm just going to go ahead and drop them into the bowl. My kitchen's kind of warm. This butter is, I feel like it's softening kind of quick. I have a little bitty kitchen, and it does not stay cool in the summer, and it does not stay warm in the winter. There's only one vent for the air conditioner heater, and it's over there in the dining room, which I think was crazy when they put that in, that they didn't put any vents in the kitchen. Whoops. Sorry. Okay, I apparently cannot adjust the camera to make you see inside the bowl. So let's go. I'm going to get this butter cubed up, and then I'll show you what's next. Okay, I'm going to slip my rings off. I don't want to get butter and flour in my rings. And then I'm just going to start mixing this by hand and squeezing those butter chunks, getting them coated with flour, and then just squeezing them, okay? And that's going to help them mix into the flour, but I don't want them completely pulverized. And I could easily do this with my food processor. I could do it with my KitchenAid. I could do it with a pastry cutter, but I really like getting in here with my hands and being able to feel the flour and butter. I don't know, maybe it's a sensory thing, but I also like, I don't know, I like my hands in the soil. I like my hands in the dough. I don't like my hands in ground beef or any other kind of ground meat, but I do like this. And I feel like I get a really good mix this way, and I can tell when it is ready to mix in the next ingredient, which next ingredient is going to be sourdough discard and then some water. I feel like I've got like a crazy amount of butter to the flour, but that's okay. It says cut the flour in using a pastry cutter or your hands until the mixture is crumbly with pea-sized pieces. Okay, I got a little ways to go because some of these are still kind of big. Do you buy Pop-Tarts at your house? It is one of my guilty pleasures. I don't buy them often, but I do sometimes buy them to have at school. And believe it or not, our cafeteria serves them for breakfast. And they're the ones we serve at school are whole wheat, and they are so good. Okay, all right. I am going to get my hands cleaned off a little bit, just so that I don't get my discard bowl all dirty. And then we'll measure out our discard. It says 100 grams or half a cup. Okay. All right. I'll be right back. Put my spatula away. Let's check on that bacon. I think it's ready. Okay. Grab a hot pan. Man, I love bacon. I made this for the meatloaf, but actually, now that I look at it a little closer, I think I'm gonna let it go another few minutes. I probably, do you see my nasty, dirty stove? I probably could go ahead and flip it, but I'm not going to. Okay. All right, let's get back to sourdough. All right, I have my little remnants of starter in the bowl. I threw in 2 cups of flour because I know that one batch of my bread recipe takes 2 cups. And so I'm going to go ahead and just put in a little bit of water and stir this in. I want to make sure I scrape the sides. All that good starter that's on the sides of the bowl, I want that mixed in. I'm going to get a little more water. I know that I could measure this equal parts by weight, flour and water, but I'm kind of to the point that I can eyeball it. For a while, I measured it very, very carefully, but I've been making it long enough that I do okay with eyeballs. All right, mix that up. Okay. It's kind of, thick, but a little bit elastic, and that's what I want it to be. So, all right. Now, word to the wise, this, wash immediately, or at least rinse it off, because sourdough starter dries like concrete. It is very difficult to get off, to clean up later. All right, lid on my bowl, set that aside, and we're gonna wait for the bacon. I'm gonna set my cookbook just up here. I have strawberry jam that my daughter Kelsey made. I've got some raspberry jam. We're gonna use those inside the Pop-Tarts. And I'm going to leave my bench scraper up here because I will need it again when we start cutting the Pop-Tarts into shape. Okay, I'll get this open. I've got my discard here. I've started selling at the local farmers market, and so 2 days ago, I got my sourdough starter out of the fridge and got it ready to start feeding and activating. Because when I go to the farmer's market, I make several loaves of bread, and this week I'm going to be taking English muffins as well. And so I need lots of starter and discard. Okay, it says I need what? 100 grams. Okay, I've got my bowl on my scale. I've got it tiered. And we're going to put in 100 grams of discard. Come on. I'm going to do it in little bits because I don't want to get too much in there. I won't be able to take it back out. Okay, let's go a little bit more. Getting close. That's 98. I'll go a tiny bit more. Okay, there's that. Oh, and let me check on my bacon real quick. Okay. I'm gonna bring you down so you can see the bacon too. It is looking this. All right, there we go. Okay, I don't think it's ready, so I'm going to reset the timer. Let's go another 7 minutes and we'll see how it does. Okay, while I've got my discard out here, I'm gonna bring you back down over. Okay, while I have my discard, I'm going to grab my bowl of starter that I fed last night. And I'm going to go ahead and do this morning's discard. Because like I said, I need a lot for the market. Okay. All right. And this, once we're finished mixing up Pop-Tarts, I'm going to feed and get going again. Okay. This one is going to go in the fridge. All right. Okay, now it says that I need 30 to 60 grams of cold water. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my Danish dough hook, and I'm not going to measure my water. Okay. I do want to mix in this starter a little bit. Okay, my water, I'm going to put in just about maybe a tablespoon at a time, because I don't want my dough to be super wet. So I've got a measuring cup of water, and I just put some ice in it, which my water's pretty cold. We're on a well, and it comes out of the ground super cold. All right. Says to mix until it just comes together and not to over mix. Okay, I'm gonna get in here with my hands, or at least one hand. I think that'll be better. And I think 2 tablespoons of water might be plenty. Okay. This up so you can see it. Yeah, I think that is perfect. I do think it's a tiny bit wet, but good grief, I keep throwing chunks out. I think it'll be all right. Okay, so we have our nice dough, and next, okay, I'm just going to wrap this up in a piece of parchment, kind of form it into a bit of a rectangle, and then we're going to stick it in the fridge to chill. So I got to wash, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my parchment. I'm going to get this dough out of the bowl. Make sure I don't drop it in the floor. That would be tragic. I'd have to start all over. I don't want to waste any of it, so I want to get it scraped out of the bowl. Okay, get that out of my way. Okay, now I'm going to just get this kind of wrapped up. And it says to make it a rectangle shape. I think that's probably so that it's easier to roll out later. Okay, there's my rectangle. I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to stick it in the fridge, and then I'm going to real quickly feed my sourdough starter and wait on the bacon to come out of the oven, and then we'll go outside. All right, bacon is done. And I'm just going to lay it out on a couple pieces of paper towel. I just want to get as much of the grease out of it as I can. I love crispy bacon. In fact, I think I'm going to eat a couple of these for my breakfast. Okay. Separate those out a little bit. And we will just let this sit here cool while we go to the garden, and then when I come back in, I'll stick it in the fridge and we'll have it ready for meatloaf. I will see you when we get to the garden. Okay. All right. Bacon is cooling, Pop-Tarts are chilling, and now let's get a little bit of gardening done. So less than a week ago, I had to have my gallbladder out, so I am still in recovery mode, and I promised my mama I would not overdo it. So this morning's task is this bed right here. It's all planted out, although everything is very young and tiny. I want to get the grass out, which it's not huge. It'll take me a few minutes to get the grass out. And then I'm going to put in my mulch. And this year for mulch, I'm using shredded paper. I've not ever done this before. Set my coffee down. I could be working while I'm talking. Bug in the mouth. A friend named Amy Schneider, she told me about using mulch or using shredded paper for mulch. And I thought that's a great idea, but I don't have access to shredded paper. And I didn't really want to go buy a paper shredder. So I've just stuck to straw and wood chips and, that sort of thing. But I will tell you, if you use wood chips in your veggie garden, roly-polies love wood chips. And last year, this exact bed, I had full of broccoli and cauliflower, and the roly-polies ate every one of them down to the ground. And I did not get any broccoli or cauliflower out of this bed. I do like to use straw. However, I do have a friend that when he has it, he gives me his straw or gives me straw, and I am grateful for that. I do know that last year he cleaned out his straw barn, and I don't know if he has any more this year. But also, my daughter Kelsey mentioned using the shredded paper, and I now have access to shredded paper because our school, like I've mentioned, I'm a teacher, they shred everything that has, students' names and stuff on it. And so all of that shredded paper goes to be recycled. And so before it actually goes to the recycler, I go in and I grab a garbage bag full of shredded paper. And so far, granted, I've only used it for a couple weeks, so I don't, have great evidence of it working yet, but I am liking it. I don't like the way it looks, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. However, Kelsey assured me that once my plants start to, fill out and get bigger, you won't be able to see the shredded paper because all of that will be below the foliage, of the plants. Okay, pull this over here. I'm gonna do this little section that I have weeded before I move down to another section, just because with a sore belly, the getting up and down is a little tricky, and I don't want to do it more than I have to. And that may sound lazy, but it's just because of the soreness. All right, so, and then, so like this, this is the shredded paper. And I'm just going to come in and tuck it in around my plants. This plant right here is a little basil plant. I started that one from seed. Let's see, everything in here except for the rosemary and whatever this was. This is called Snow Princess. I don't know. It's a beautiful white flower, and it almost looks like a little ground cover. In the greenhouse, it smelled amazing, and its smell is what made me buy it. So I'm going to get this a little bit done, and then I think what I'll do is take you around and show you the garden, and then I'll come back to this. But I also don't want to mess around and lose my shade. I've got some zinnias in here that I started from seed, some red kale started from seed. What else? Thyme. I started that thyme is looking kind of sad, but I started it from seed. I'm hoping that with all this rain we've been having and some sunshine, it along with everything else will pick up and start growing. I've left my pots out here kind of as markers for now. Let's see, let's get a little bit right here under the edge of that. I did notice over on the other side, or around some of my tomatoes, I had already put a little bit of shred out, and I do think I put it too close to the stem of the tomato, and it wasn't really suffocating the tomato, but it was almost holding in too much moisture. And so one thing I want to do is, as I put this shredded paper out here, I want to leave a little bit of a barrier around the stem so that I'm not choking anything out or dampening it off too much. And then later, if I need to, I can come in with some more and fill it in. While I'm going to show you the garden next, here to my left are my sugar snap peas. They are just keep on producing. They're so good. We had a few hot days last week, really hot days, and I had 2 varieties of sugar snap peas. This one has definitely tolerated the heat more and has been delicious. The other one was more of a flat pod, and it did not tolerate the heat at all. It got bitter right away and even started dying off. So I've already ripped that out. Each day of my recovery, I have just taken a walk down here to the garden, just looking around, and this is one of my favorite places to be. And so I can come down here and I can pray, I can praise, I can, just reflect and think and just spend time in my little garden of nature. And while I was out here on one of those days, I tasted those peas, spit it out, literally, and ripped them up. And that was my gardening for that day. So I'm going to get the camera and let's go around and look at everything I've got going on. Oh, my remote is not working. All right, this is the bed I was just working in. You can see right over there. There's the sugar snap peas. And then here at the end, I've got some calendula. I've got rosemary and thyme and flowers and kale. Looking good. This bed behind me is not looking so good. This bed is probably tomorrow's project or maybe Thursday, because I have carrots planted in here. And, oh, there's one right there. Okay. Oh, there's a few other little ones in there. I really need the carrots. Hello, sweet Daisy. I need the carrots to come along and show up a little bit more so that I know where to mulch. I could get in here and go ahead and pull grass. That would be fine. My beautiful rain gauge that Kelsey got me. There's the peas I ripped out. I need to take those to the chickens. On this side of the trellis, I did go ahead and put in my loofah, although it is looking kind of sad. I'm going to pull that straw back a little bit. I think it needs some fertilizer and some sunshine. I'm going to come in here on this other side around the loofah and put some Jacoby Little Pumpkins. On the other side of that same trellis, I have Tromboncino, and they are looking lovely. I love Tromboncino as my squash substitute. I tried it first time last year, and it worked so well. They are pest resistant, and so even yesterday when I came down and just took my little walk through the garden, there were squash bugs on this plant and eggs, and I squished the eggs and I knocked the bug off. And so even though they will get bugs, the bugs don't seem to affect the plants or the veggies. So now I'm not seeing anything. That's good. Okay. Behind the Tromboncino are my garlics. And last week I showed you in the video that doesn't have sound, harvesting the scapes. And then look, I've got more scapes. This was a different variety. And so this one is producing scapes just later. And so when you see scapes, you can figure about 4 weeks out is when you should harvest your garlic, but also you look for the bottom leaves to be turning brown and dying off. There's some volunteer dill in that bed. Down here, at the end of these wood beds, I built that wood trellis, I think 2 seasons ago. And then this season, just a couple weeks ago, I had Scott replicate it for me and put it on this one. And these are pole cherries. Never heard of a pole cherry. I don't even remember the names of the variety, but I thought I would try it out, and they're doing really, really well. In the middle, I have a butterfly pea whose top got knocked off, and it's sitting there doing nothing. So I'm not sure it's going to progress. Next to the garlic are my onions, and I have 2 different varieties in here. One of them is a yellow, sweet yellow onion, and it's called Candy. I can show you they are bulbing up very nicely. Look at that. Okay, and then I also have a red that I believe is called Patterson. The red are not bulbing up as big, but I think it's going to be okay. These plants here are ground cherries. And so once the onions come out, I'm just going to let the ground cherries have that bed. Ground cherries are a delicious snack to have in the garden. When I take out the garlic, this will become a pepper bed. Next to the onions on the wood trellis are cucumbers. I had to think a minute. Cucumbers, and then I've got another butterfly pea here in the middle. At the other end, I have cantaloupe, and this one is called a vining Susan. So it's a black-eyed Susan, but it's a vining variety, and so I think that's going to be fun. It's definitely new. Here I've got some cantaloupes coming up. I do need to get in here and like pull the grass and ground cherries back away from the cantaloupe. On the other side where the sugar snap peas are, I also have cantaloupe here. And when these sugar snap peas come out, I will be then putting probably more cantaloupe. Down at the end, I've got my 2 asparagus beds. And let me ask your opinion. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. So the asparagus, I'm losing my shade very quickly. Well, for one, I need to come in here and get the grass out. I know that. And because this is a fairly new bed, I know that I need to let this asparagus go to seed. Okay, here's one that has seeds on it. However, I don't want these laying out in the pathway. Oh, that one is broken off, where we mow and walk. So I'm trying to come up with a way to remedy that. I had thought, well, last year in this one, I've got a tiny little shepherd's hook in the middle. And so I just took a string and kind of tied it all up. But I was wondering if I could put like a piece of rebar or a wood post or something here on each corner and then run a wire or like jute twine or something around it to hold these up. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a cheapskate, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on that. And so, in your opinion, what should I do? Let me know in the comments. All right, here, I am losing shade very quickly. These two pots have seeds of something. I can't remember what I planted, but there's a little bit coming up there and in here. The rest of these, so these are Riley's 2 pots of potatoes. Jeremy and Riley, Jeremy's our son, and then Riley has 3 pots of sweet potatoes. The fence pieces are just to keep cat and dog out of them. Now that the plants are getting bigger, I can take those out. And then these last 6 bags are my sweet potatoes. So Jeremy and Riley live in a small apartment, and so they get garden space. So this is the kind of the leftovers of the onions that wouldn't fit in the raised bed, and they are not doing well at all. I believe these are all Patterson, and they are just, which I know there's a lot of chickweed and stuff in here, but they're not doing well. So I probably will not plant onions in ground again. Now to the rest of the mess, which I know I will get there. I need to be strong enough that I can run the tiller through the middle of the rows, and then I will be able to get in here and do some major weeding. This first row is green beans. The variety is Jade. And something exciting about the Jade green beans is those are saved seed from my own plants. And so that to me is very exciting to be able to, I bought the seeds and some of them were given to me, planted them, and be able to harvest the seed for the next year. Next row is beets. These are golden beets. I have a whole row of golden beets. Then we don't have anything until we get over to here. And this whole row, which is about, I think it's 30 feet or 32 feet, was all broccoli and cauliflower. And I have, whoops, 1 surviving plant. And let's see, you can see right down in there, maybe there is a tiny head of broccoli. And so it's getting so hot, I don't know if that broccoli is going to be any good, but I need to get that out of there. And then in this space, I'll plant a couple peppers. We have tomatoes, and I'm not going to go through all the varieties right now, just because I kind of want to be quick with this and get back to that raised bed. I've got calendula and marigolds and zinnias in between. These are some new cages for us this year. I don't know, I've seen some people on YouTube using these square cages and seem to be happy with them. So I thought I'd use them. And then I bought 3 or 4 of these larger round cages at a yard sale early this spring, and they are heavy duty. So I'm gonna try those out. Typically I use either the cattle panel or these homemade cages that Scott did. So I've got tomatoes, flowers, more tomatoes and flowers, lots and lots of grass. And then we have potatoes. That's a volunteer potato there. There's nothing in that row in front of the potatoes, or that one potato. It's going to be peppers, probably. Here's another volunteer potato, and more tomatoes and flowers. Later on, I will give you a more detailed description of each one. Here you can see where I've used the shredded paper. Well, and I did up there too. This is all tomatoes and a few flowers. I've got a flower in between every tomato plant. And there's a couple volunteer beans from last year. This was my drying bean trellis last year, and was supposed to have tomatoes on it too, and the drying beans absolutely choked out all the tomatoes. This plant right here is not doing well. And this is one that had the shreds up too close to it, and it immediately fell over. And so I really think I'm probably going to rip that one out and replace it. But the problem is I don't know what variety that was to replace it with. So I did write all this down in my little notebook. So I just need to go get my notebook out and look to see which one that is. All right, down here, past the tomato trellis, this whole row is peppers, and there are some flowers in between. Then this corner, which I'm so excited, is popcorn. I've got under each one of these little trash cans, I've planted either gourds or pumpkins. And so I've got lots of stuff going on in here. This row here, these little plants, those are okra. And down at the corner in the trellis, I think that's another butterfly pea, but let's go look to make sure. I'm careful not to step on any of my okras. I left some of my pots out here so I know what was going on. Yes, oh no, it's a basket flower, but look, it's got little holes in the leaves. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll make it or not. Come on around. Those are heritage raspberries. Just put those in last season and they are going gangbusters. I've got apple trees, pear trees. The storms that we had during winter took out both of my big peach trees, which it's okay. They were old and really needed to be replaced. They had been knocked over before and were just in really bad shape. This weedy mess is more raspberries. And I have picked already 2 little handfuls of berries. You can see right there, there's some. I'll come out probably this evening to do that. And then on the back side are thornless blackberries. Looks good. All right. Yes, it's a weedy mess, but I love this weedy mess. And I love that. Whew, I'm getting hot. I love that I can grow a lot of our food. I love just the hobby of gardening. I love having my hands in the soil, like I said before. And usually I'm out here barefoot, but today I had my boots on. Okay, well, in just a little bit, which I'm kind of feeling like I need to rest, I'm gonna work just a tiny bit more on that raised bed and then go inside and rest a little bit, and then we will work on the Pop-Tarts. All right, I am cooled off and rested and ready to make Pop-Tarts. I did move the thawing peppers and the cooked bacon into the fridge, and we'll have that ready for later when I'm ready to make meatloaf. Okay, so my book says to roll it out on a lightly floured surface to about 1/8 of an inch thick. Cut into small rectangles, about 3 by 4, and place half of the rectangles on a parchment-lined baking sheet. So I'm gonna get the baking sheet out. I'll just use this piece of parchment that I've already got out here. And let's see, what does the oven need to be turned on to? 375. So let's go ahead and heat the oven. All right. Okay, and because I know my history, I make sure there's nothing in the oven when I turn it on. And I turn my light on to remind me that I'm using the oven. Okay, baking sheet. All right. Grab out the flour. Okay, I'm gonna move my sourdough over here just to give myself a little bit more space. Move my glasses. Okay, I'm gonna bring you down closer. All right, I'm gonna use my pastry cutter and just cut this in half. I thought it might be easier to roll out 1/2 of it. Okay, move that over. Get a rolling pin. All right. All right, wish me luck. Let's hope this goes well and that I make some delicious Pop-Tarts. Ooh, that is chilled. Okay. You gotta use some muscles. I want to try to keep it in a rectangle. Ooh, I don't know, guys. This is kind of coming apart. Okay. And to go 1/8 of an inch, I got a long ways to go. It's not going well. It's falling apart. Okay, if you've made Pop-Tarts, and whether you've had huge success or trouble like I'm having, let me know. And what do I need to do to fix it? I almost think my dough is too dry. Maybe I chilled it too long. I don't know. Okay, well, we're gonna try to use it the way it is. I'm gonna try to make this a more clean edged rectangle. I certainly will not be making these for the farmer's market. Not until I have figured out a little bit better how to do it. Okay. Get that out of the way. Let's see. I can probably do yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna move this around. All right, it's kind of a rectangle. All right, we'll put that there. The recipe does not say how many Pop-Tarts you can get from this. All right, I'm gonna roll out this other piece of dough, try to get 4 more rectangles, and then we'll put our filling on there. All right, I've got my other rectangles ready, and it says to use 1 to 2 teaspoons of filling per rectangle. So I'm gonna do 2 that are strawberry. I'll get 1 teaspoon out here and we'll see how much that does. Let's do 2. I guess it probably depends on how big you make your rectangles. Get that spread around. Okay, now we have a strawberry allergy in our house or in our family, so I'm going to put an S right there between them for strawberry and an R down here between these 2 for raspberry. And I'm going to wash my hands. And I'm going to get a clean teaspoon for doing the raspberry. If I can get the raspberry open. Ouch. Well, there we go. Raspberry jam smells so good. Okay, let's do 1, 2. All right, spread this around. Doesn't look like very much filling, but I'm guessing that as it heats up in the oven, it'll spread out a little bit and be enough filling. I don't know. We will see. All right, got my other rectangles. It says to crimp the edges. And I'm going to have to get a clean fork to do the raspberry because I got some strawberry jam on this fork. Okay, I'm going to grab another one. I should have done all the raspberry first. Well, these are some very unattractive Pop-Tarts, but maybe they will taste good. All right, it also says to poke some holes in the top for venting. So I'm gonna do the raspberry first so I don't have to worry about contaminating with strawberry. Okay, now I'm gonna put these in the oven, and it says to bake for 25 to 30 minutes. And we'll see what they look like when they come out. Pop-Tarts are out of the oven, and they are nice and brown on the underside. I do think these rectangular ones, I probably could have rolled them a lot thinner. With the leftover dough, I made a bunch of little round ones. These just came out of the oven, and they leaked, but that's okay. I made these with ground cherry jam. So let's go out on the front porch. I want to show you something. Okay, let's start over here. My little cow. One of my students, Emmett, gave me this cow for, honestly, don't remember if it was teacher appreciation or if it was birthday, because that was all kind of within the same couple of weeks. But it is so cute, and these little lights light up at night. So cute. Then here's one of my green stalks. So this green stalk is all strawberries and petunias. These petunias reseeded themselves from last year. And last year I had cosmic pink petunias in there that I had started from seed, and they were gorgeous. Did not know they would reseed themselves. So I have left them, and I've actually moved them around. Like this one has a few different plants in it. Whenever I see a pocket that is empty, like this one I put in there yesterday, I moved it from another pocket because some of the strawberries just did not come up. And so I've just been moving them around, and look at these blooms on that strawberry. Isn't that pretty? Okay, let me go back around to this one. So this strawberry, since I showed you my cow from Emmett, this strawberry plant was from a student named Savannah. And I've already been eating berries off of that one. This year I decided to do my own hanging baskets. Isn't that gorgeous? I did not start them from seed. I did buy the plants. Okay, but next year I think I'm going to do seeds. Some nasturtiums. This one's looking kind of rough. I've planted a few things in that little bucket and nothing comes up, but that's okay. My chamomile, this all self-seeded from last year, except for, I think this little clump I started from seed. I have a dahlia up here. No clue what color it's going to be because I can't remember, and I cannot wait to see that. Then, this is really what I wanted to show you. Look at this calendula. It is so pretty. I've been coming out and popping their heads off and drying them, which I will take this one in when I go, because I make a calendula salve that is good for, oh, look at that nasturtium, isn't that pretty? It's good for bug bites, it's good for burns, chigger bites, tick bites, mosquito bites, abrasions. Oh, moss rose down there. Everything's looking so pretty. We've had so much rain, and what's not drowning is flourishing. So this green stalk is new to me this year. I planted it full of strawberries. Not one strawberry came up. They were all bare root strawberries I bought at a big box store. Same time I bought the other strawberries in the other green stalk, nothing has come up. So I dismantled it and thought, okay, it's not getting enough rain or water, because I forget to water things. So I thought I'll take it apart, give it a good water. Did that a few days in a row, still nothing. So I came back and I plugged in some flower seeds. Now I left the strawberries just in case they would come up. I know in this layer I planted status. This looks like a nasturtium, but I didn't think I had planted more nasturtiums. Maybe I did, I don't know. Don't remember that one. This one, nothing has come up. And this one, I don't remember what I planted, but it is coming up. So I'll have to go back and look. This is another basket that I did. I think it's so beautiful. And this is one of the cosmic pink petunias. I did start this one from seed this year. And a little orange hat tomato from Kelsey. So just wanted to give you a quick tour of the front porch. I'm going to go ahead and pop this off. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, I'll give that one a few more hours to open up. I've been taking their heads off, see here. And calendula is one of those that once you pick it or cut it, it produces more. So look, there's a strawberry. Oh man, something got to it. That's okay. We'll leave it there. All right, let's go make some glaze for the Pop-Tarts. Isn't that just so pretty over there? I love it. In my bowl, I've made just a simple glaze. About 1 cup of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, and about a tablespoon of milk. And I've just stirred it around until it is the consistency that I want. And I did end up adding just a tiny bit more flour because I had it a little too thin and I wanted to thicken it up a little bit. Okay, first thing I'm going to do the strawberry last. So let's, I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see. Okay, these two here are the raspberry. So let's just brush on some glaze. They smell really good. I hope they taste better than they look, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, and then in this other pan, I've got the ones that I did with the ground cherries, and they did leak out, so I want to open one up and see. I've got like a fruit leather going on here. I want to open this up and see if any of the filling stayed in. Oh yeah, there's a little bit in there, not a whole lot. Those are yummy. Okay, I'm gonna give these each a little glaze. You wouldn't have to glaze them. In fact, I'll probably leave one of the strawberries plain because my husband's not a big fan of frosting and glaze. And that way he can have one without. All right, and then I am going to frost one of the strawberries though. And we'll open this up and see what it's like. Okay. I've got plenty of glaze left, so I probably could have cut that down. All right, are you ready? Let's see. It looks good. Okay. I'm dripping because the glaze is wet. All right. Adjust the camera. Okay. Are you ready? Definitely better than they look. That pastry is very light and flaky. Almost tastes buttery, which it does have a lot of butter in it. So I guess that would make sense. I think I could have done more filling because really I'm getting a lot of pastry and not so much filling. But that is delicious. We'll see what Scott thinks of it later. Yum! Okay, I have one more thing I want to do with you, and then I will end this video. I really feel like I have been all over the place with this video. We've been inside and outside and back again. Oh, and I forgot my microphone. I need to go get that because the sound quality when I'm outside is so much worse than when I'm inside. So I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm ready. Microphone, ketchup stain from lunch. I've got my Impatients. I have one hanging pot that, turn you around, that I made up with petunias and some other little flower. I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a C. Corpicola or Coca-Cola, something like that. Beautiful flowers. But I ended up putting them in a shady spot because I want beautiful hanging pots near my hummingbird feeders. And duh, I know that petunias and that other little flower are not shade-loving plants. And so before I had my surgery, I went and bought 2 4-packs of Impatients. They do love shade. I don't know why it has taken me, 4 years to figure this out, because I do this every year. And every year I'm so disappointed in the way those baskets look. And so I did not have time to start Impatients from seed because the hummers are already here. I want to get these out there. So I'm going to redo the one basket. Excuse me. I'm going to pull out the remaining petunia and other little flower. The rest have died. And replace it with a 4-pack of Impatients. Then I think I have enough potting soil to do a second hanging basket with Impatients. I have enough Impatients for it. I don't know if I have enough potting soil. And so I actually have some more things I need to pot up, some house plants that need to be put into bigger pots and such, but this is the last of my potting soil. So when I go to town later this week, I will put that on my list. So I'm going to go grab my supplies. We will work right here for as long as we can, but you are sitting on top of the air conditioning unit, and this is really the only flat spot I have out here that's shaded. So we're going to work until the AC kicks on, and then we'll have to move. So I'll be right back with the rest of my supplies. Okay, so my camera died, and it is now close to 8 o'clock at night. I did get these potted up. Oh, this one's a little bigger and heavier. Okay. I'm going to put the hangers back on, and then I'm going to go place these where I want them to go. And hopefully these will fill out nicely. I do think they will. These Impatients in their little nursery pots were so incredibly root bound. And now that they have some room in their bigger pots. I think they'll fill out nicely and be beautiful and ready for the hummingbirds. So let's go put these away. Okay, I've put one here by this hummingbird feeder, and now we will walk over to the other one. And I have one hanging basket over there already with these beautiful roses. But we've had so much rain and it got so heavy that it bent the pole over. So let's put this smaller one here. Okay. And so we've got the beautiful Impatients, and then down here we've got some gorgeous red peonies. I don't know what color those geraniums are. This basket was a gift from a friend, so it's beautiful. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Let's get back here in the shade so the sun's not in your face. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider going to YouTube and subscribing. Sharing my videos will help grow my channel. And I hope one day to do this full time. I have 3 more years of teaching before I can retire. And then maybe I can just stay home and garden and YouTube and cook and do all those good things. So I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was so all over the place. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Bye.